Hello and welcome to India Today SoSouth. I'm Gautam Shankar. Now, Byju Ravindran, the co-founder of the trouble Edtech firm, Byju is no longer a billionaire. Yes, according to the recently released Forbes World's Billionaires list of 2024, Ravindran's net worth has plummeted to zero from an estimated value of over $2.1 billion dollars that adds up to about 17,500 crores when you talk about Indian rupees. Now, he was wrapped in multiple crises from accounting irregularities to also mis-selling of courses and mass layoffs. Byjus has been in the news for all the wrong reasons for the last 1 year. Now, is there a lesson from the dramatic decline of Byjus, which was once heralded as an iconic figure in India's startup ecosystem, and also it was seen as a sort of iconic figure in Bangalore as well, where we see a large number of startups popping up or mushrooming. Now, in 2022, it was considered to be moving forward, even despite its troubles. There was talk of Byju's merging with a publicly traded share company in US at a valuation of $48 billion. Imagine that. But from there, the rapid rise of Byju's has seen sort of fall apart. Now, to discuss more about the lessons to be learned from the Byju's for entrepreneurs and also startups, especially in Bangalore, which are mushrooming by the tens and thousands, joined in by brand guru Harish Bijoor. Thank you for joining us today on this discussion on India
Thank
Today.
you.
Right.
My
So,
pleasure. My pleasure.
yes, sir. So, what is the key takeaway from the fall of Byju's, Harish? Now, when we talk about this company here, we saw it sort of create a bubble. There was no real end to the success, in a manner of speaking. But we know that navigating initial uncertainties itself is a big challenge for startups. But now, if they have done that, managed to set off on a successful entrepreneurial journey, what are the red flags that they need to be aware from the point of view of what Byju's did wrong here?
Okay. Firstly, I must agree with you and say that, Byju's was the poster boy of the space it occupied. Because firstly, Byju's turned to be a unicorn. And then after that, Byju's became a decacorn. In fact, two decacorns. And then it was hoping to be half a hectacorn. But then things happened, and I think Byju's lost steam. A triad of issues. Three sets of issues faced it. And I think the first one, I would put it on the three ends of a triangle. And I would draw a scalene triangle, a very long scalene triangle. At the most distant end was issues with its customers and users. People who are using Byju's as a product, that was a key issue.
Hmm.
Because, a lot of mis-selling, cross-selling, upselling without integrity. And I think that really hit it hard. The second issue was at the deep back end. And at the deep back end, accounting irregularities, mismatches, and much else. And then at the middle end was the issue with its own set of employees. Unhappy employees, mass layoffs, and employees creating a lot of tumult and ruckus in the marketplace. So this triad of issues on a scalene triangle, front end, middle end, and back end actually hurt the brand. Coming to what
Yeah.
you asked me as a question, you've just asked me to say, are there red flags? On my 5 fingers, I will count 6 red flags. Okay. Red flag number 1, essentially there is learning from everything that goes wrong. So I'm really putting these flags up and saying these are learnings. So first is greed is not good. Greed is not good because, gone are the days or the era in which startups, businesses of every kind said greed is good, greed is great. Not anymore. The second item I would put is grow slow. If you ask me what's a learning, grow slow, grow with a purpose, grow with a foundation. You set a foundation and grow on that foundation. Don't jumpstart yourself too fast. The third learning is the consumer is your foundation. The consumer is your foundation, not the investor. The investor is not your foundation. Don't get carried away by that. The fourth learning, money is cheap and hollow. Money is everywhere. In the ecosystem of a startup, there's plenty of money chasing too few ideas. Your idea needs to be solid, only then you get great money. But then when solid ideas dry out, investors pump in money into hollow ideas. So don't chase that. Money, consumer is your foundation, not the investor. Money is cheap, money is hollow, and consumer trust is like gold. Keep it. And the fifth one is don't build a bubble, build solid. That's very important. And the sixth one, outside of my five fingers, is the business where I say old fashioned growth is not old fashioned. Trust in old fashioned growth. Well, those are the six that I would say.
All right. So, Harish Bijoor says, laying it out there, six sticking points that possibly your startup should utilize and focus on consumerism rather than money. Focus on money all the time. But in an ideal world, you could say that these startups and companies focus on brand building, and there is a lot of talk about brand building should not overshadow the core business fundamentals. But when you get on a roll like Byjus did there, it's difficult to stop, isn't it? Because when you see your company's revenue soaring the way it did for Byjus, he got into a mode where he wanted to monopolize the market, and that sort of backfired, and that sort of also created this bubble. What is your view on it, Harish?
I agree that, brand building is very sexy. Advertising, PR, marketing, brand building, very sexy terms. But don't get engrossed in them. As a startup, don't get engrossed in them too soon. I keep saying, avoid the sexy till you're ready for sex. By that, I mean that when your business is ready to embrace branding, embrace it. Don't embrace branding a bit too early. Because, branding tends to promise a lot and deliver little. If you do, then you fall and you fail. So typically, branding must be done at the right point of time with the right kind of investments, not disproportionate investments that promise the sky and deliver the ditch.
All right. And also, let's talk about the edtech sector for a bit, because just a few years ago, we saw India being seen as a sort of potential edtech capital of the world. And we also saw in between 2020 and 2023 until last year, this bubble seems to have burst. There's no real talk of edtech, there's no real enthusiasm or that spark that we saw in the COVID era, in a manner of speaking. But is there hope yet? Are there opportunities that could yet be tapped in this sector?
EdTech of the type which is B2C, the type that Byju's got into, has gotten a bad name. And I think, the credit for this bad name goes to Byju. Because, Byju's conveyed to the investor ecosystem as well as to the user ecosystem that, hey, guys, we have done terrible things. And I think when terrible things happen from a destination, the destination also gets a bad name. So please note, EdTech B2C has got a bad name. It'll take a while to recover. Competitors in the same space have lost valuation because when the big bull loses valuation, every tiny animal in that ring also loses their valuation. And that's exactly what's happened to EdTech. So it'll take a time to recover. But the fundamental issue is simply this, that India is a center of education. If you go back into history, you will see we were the big ones in education. We still have that great Indian hope that we're going to be very big in teaching the world at large. Take the tutorial system that exists worldwide. I've just done a study across 42 countries. These 42 countries get tutorials done out of India by Indian teachers who teach English, math, psychology, law. Go on and on. Which simply means to say that India is a great cheap destination for the teacher to teach out. And the teacher earns in dollars. And the kind of dollars that the teacher earns is humongous. And I think, this has become a C2C space suddenly. There is a consumer in 42 countries, and the 42 countries' consumers are reaching out to individuals living in India who are teachers. So the teacher ecosystem is going. crazy.
In the bargain, what's happened is the middleman who would offer this kind of an education has been removed. So, to an extent, it's a great thing to happen because we are a nation of the educated. India is known for its education and India is known for its teachers and their quality. We went to China. A lot of Indian teachers learned Chinese and went to China decades ago and taught the Chinese math. So I think, the same thing can happen now without the teacher moving out from India. The teacher sitting in good old Madurai, enjoying their rice and tair sadam and sambar, and at the same time earning in dollars. So if you can have your Indian friends, your Indian food, your Indian ecosystem of Family Plus, and still earn in dollars, fantastic. So C to C Edtech is what I am personally excited by. Investors will not be excited by this because they won't make money on this. It's going to be direct money being made by the teacher in India teaching to the taught in Berlin.
All right. So there you have it from brand guru Harish Bijoor himself, a six-finger mantra to avoid potential problems that Byjus created for itself, which eventually led to its net worth going down to zero. And also saying that don't be too sexy too soon. Branding is not everything, and that the edtech sector is not yet dead in India. Thank you so much for joining us on India Today's SoSouth, Harish.